welcome back, race fans. We are here at the historic Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida. Thank you again for joining me on this nice 20-minute run instead of the 12-hour race. We are running classic GTP race cars, and I am running the Lancia. Here we are going through corner one, titled corner one. This track's been around since 1950 when it held its first race. And through these little S's here, it is actually coming into what's called the carousel turn. Earlier configurations did not have the S's, it was just one big long carousel. This corner here we are going through, this right-hander is Big Bend, and it takes us down to what used to be a hairpin corner at the end. But in order to slow the cars down, they have made it a chicane at this point. This is a right, left, right. We will be exiting here in third gear and just following down and around this lovely historic track, once a World War II Air Force bomber training base. Coming down here into Webster off of the White House Straight. And again, extra corners added to maintain a somewhat slower pace, but with cars of today, it has not really done that. Coming down into Bishops at this point. This is our right-hander, third gear. If you get it right, you can be on the throttle very early to get ready to go into Jean de Bien and Le Mans corners. So we come down and turn to the right, which is Jean de Bien. I do not believe this little left has a corner, but this corner here is Le Mans corner. And this takes us on to the long back straight of Sebring. This track is notoriously bumpy and hard on suspensions. You will see a lot of cars when you watch it live this weekend break due to suspension issues. This final corner here is a sunset bend, so aptly named that when the sun sets, it is blinding to the race drivers. And with that, you have completed a lap of Sebring with me. Enjoy the race. It is coming up next.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
And as you heard, we are now getting ready to go racing here at Sebring. This is a 20-minute race. Instead of doing 12 hours, we're going to do 20 here with these older GTP cars. As we are waiting here at the start line, ticking down, waiting for the green light to go. You will see over on the right the light bar. It'll go red, 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 green. Revs are picking up. We are starting 7th here out of 8. And go, 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 go! We are now racing here at Sebring. Oh, a little bit of weaving and wobbling there. Another car off on the left. We have a decent start, moving up one spot to 6th through corner 1. Here we go, a little bit onto the turtles, a little overexcited. We have to let the tires warm up here. Looking down the inside of Helvis into corner 2, following through 3 and 4. This is just the first lap here. We do not want to get too aggressive because this is a somewhat long race. But we have to keep in touch with all those around us and make sure we do not, lose any places or gain any. But if we look down the inside, there is Pat, and we have now gone back we're now back down to 6th. Oh, no, we're looking around. We're 5th after that. It's a little bit of a changing going on around here as the standings try to catch up to where we are. Following Pat and Helvis through these corners, and we're coming down now into Tower, going to the right here. And again, just the first lap, a lot can happen. We just have to maintain our composure and be calm. We have to let everything get warmed up and get our reflexes ready, as well as our nerve endings. Coming down here through Le Mans corner onto the long back straight of Sebring. This is the longest straight on the track. We get up to the top gear and highest miles per hour. As you can see it climbing, climbing, climbing. Actually, our speedo is in kilometers an hour. Taking a wide turn through Sunset, trying to do an over-under on Pat. As we know, Pat is a difficult man to pass, and if you take a look over to our left, we didn't make that over-under happen. But we're close. We are under his rear wing, looking for the entry into corner 1. Pat throws it down inside in front of us. We're just going to sit here behind him, watching what goes on. After the first lap mayhem, we are 6th, going into corner 2, corner 3, and through the carousel corner into Big Bend. We see, followed Pat there, off a little bit out of the carousel, going through Big Bend. It's what happens when you are watching a little too closely the car ahead of you and not paying attention to what you should be doing. Hard on the brakes for the chicane here. Going a little wide, we might lose a tenth or two on the exit, but we can still see Pat and Helvis there ahead of us. And looking behind, we do not see Rick. So things are looking good. We are running 5th here, and we're just going to, watch Pat go off on the left there, so that picks us up into 4th. Now we're running behind just Helvis. This is a good race that we are having here. We're being steady. Yes, we are only on lap 2, but steady wins the race, as they say, and we just have to make sure that we continue to place our car properly on the track, hitting the marks, getting the braking points, getting the apexes, and getting on the gas early enough to maintain our position and hopefully catch up to Helvis there ahead of us. And once more, we go through Le Mans corner for the 2nd time onto the long back straight. You'll see that we might be running a little less wing than Helvis, but he has a better run onto this straight, so we're not actually catching up to him at this point. Down through Sunset Bend, not as wide as it was for the first lap. A little bit of a correction on the exit, a little bit of a wiggle and a wobble, and off to the right. Tom is in the pits on lap 2. He must have gotten into the wars early. That gets us another spot. We are now up to 4th through corner 1. Helvis is still there. It's not as close as it was before, but we are still seeing him as a car and not just as a dot. Corner 2, corner 3, carousel one more time, coming out right to the edge, but not over on the rumble strips, and now through Big Bend. Just watching here as we come down under the Mobile 1 bridge. We want to start our braking about now so that we do not overcook it into this chicane here, and that is one of the better entries and exits that we'll get in a long time. So we are looking at Helvis. We are nearly 2 seconds behind him, and if we look down in 5th place, we have Steve W. coming up on us. He is 3.5 seconds behind. Nears makes no difference. But coming down into tower here, 3rd gear, we get this one right. Not too bad, but we shouldn't really be hitting that inside curve as we go through. Didn't lose us any ground, didn't gain us much either, so we'll take that as a win. As long as we keep it on all 4 wheels and don't go spinning off into the dirt, we're doing pretty well. So we've just gone through Jean de Bien, and we're through Le Mans, coming down the long back straight again to get to Sunset. It looks like we are now at 1.7, 1 3/4 seconds behind Helvis, so we picked up a little bit of time. But if we look behind us, Steve has also picked up nearly a second. So he's got a good setup race car, and he knows how to drive it. Steve will be coming into our mirrors very shortly, and we are sure to have a good run there. So again, now lap 4 of this 20-minute race. It is a timed event and a little too aggressive on the exit, so we went over the curbs coming out of corner 1 and aggressive into corner 2. That's going to cost us some time for sure. Going through the carousel, as they call it, and back out onto Big Bend. Here we go. We'll see what those 2 little errors in the corner 1 and corner 2 do to our time, and where we sit behind Helvis and ahead of Steve. So into the chicane here. Again, coming in a little hot, trying to make up time. Never a good way to do it. It says we lost 1.5 seconds there. We're now 8 seconds behind Helvis, and we are 0.3 of a second ahead of Steve. I gotta calm this down, because if I'm not calm, I'm going to lose this 4th place. And although I've been kind of lucky to grab it, I want to be skillful and keep it, and that is going to be the difficult part, because Steve is a really good driver, and as you can see, his car is set up really well. He can take the curbs and he can get on the gas, exiting the corners a lot earlier than me. That might mean he's carrying a little more wing than I am. Here we go through Jean de Bien, coming down onto the long back straight through Le Mans, and here we are on the long straight. We have Steve coming up alongside on the right. What's going to happen? We can see the rear wing. He is right there. 3/4 of his car is beside us, and we're pulling away now. So yes, I think we are running a little bit lower wings so we can get that higher top end. And when he pulls out of our slipstream, he just can't get by. So that means for the next few laps, if I want to keep this 4th place position, I have to hit every mark right and just make sure I get through the infield and onto those straights and long flowing curves a lot better than I have been in the last couple of laps. So let's see, that's a good corner 2, perfect corner 3. We're going to coast into the carousel here so that we can get on the gas fairly early. And we're keeping a nice stable gap. It's not a big one, but it is stable. So we are maybe 0.2 of a second here up on Steve. We're going to take the inside into the chicane to maintain our spot and not let him pass. It's not blocking, it's just protecting the line. And here we come again. We're now coming down through the White House straight and going to hit Webster very shortly. And here it is, we're at Webster. Steve is looking to the outside. That gained us a little bit. He was a little aggressive there, but he didn't lose too much. And as you can see, we are still holding station 3.5 3/500ths of a second. Paper thin margins here. Steve's coming down the right again as we come down the short chute to get ready to go through the Jean de Bien section. Steve is still behind us. He's not able to get by. So our wing setting is looking like it's doing the job, and it's keeping him behind us. And that's what we want. Now through Le Bon onto the long back straight. Steve's going to tuck in behind. He's going to try and grab our draft and try to draft past us here. He's spilling out, but he is not able to maintain it. He's dropping back a little bit as soon as he pulls out of our draft. And we're looking over to the left, and that's Helvis. Helvis has spun in the Sunset Bend. We have now picked up a podium spot. We are doing something right here tonight, but it's not over yet. We still have at least 10 minutes left of this race, and anything can happen. Through corner 1, Steve is right on our tail. He is not giving an inch. He is putting the pressure on us. Oh, a little too much into the corner 2, but Steve stays behind us. He's not going to try that pass there. That's not the time to do it. And through Big Bend, Steve is right behind us. It looks like he had to let up a little bit so he wouldn't tap us, so that gives us a bit of a breather. Again, as you can see, we're staying to our line through the light chicane here to go onto the straight, taking us into White House straight, and then into the corner of Webster. So here we are, we're on White House, coming down into Webster. Steve is still behind us. We can breathe a little bit. He's probably a half a second behind us now, but not after going through Webster. Now he's right on our tailpipe again. We're coming down here into Tower. 3rd gear right-hander. Oh, it's offline there a little bit. I'm not going to get the exit that I want. Is Steve going to be able to capitalize? He's trying. I'm staying to the inside to guard the position. Steve does not get it. He is trying everywhere. I'm sure this is frustrating him to no end because his car is faster. In the qualifying, I think he was somewhere close to 1.5 seconds faster than me. And that comes down to the better wing or lower or higher wing so that he can power out of the corners faster. But you see it again in our mirrors. He was alongside. He did not make that pass stick. And he's losing a little bit of ground. We're going to stay on the gas here. Double downshift into 3rd through Sunset Bend. Coming out onto the front straight, and still we are holding this position. We're holding the podium here, third step. It's not a win, but it's not off the podium, so that is good. Through corner 1, and we're going through. Oh, it was a little twitchy there in the back, but we held it. Into corner 2, we're still ahead of Steve. Looks like we're gapping him ever so slightly, maybe a tenth, maybe a piece of paper, maybe even a paper clip to hold those papers together. Here he comes. He's coming along on the left-hand side through the big bend, but he's not able to make it stick, so I'm going to move over and take my line into this left section of the course. Steve's coming down again. He's looking for it. He's giving us everything we can handle, but we are maintaining our podium. We're doing everything we can here, and it is not easy. If you take a look over in our top right, looks like we have 2 people that are not going to finish this race, and it looks to be Helvis and Pat. Something happened to their cars, or they felt that they were just too far behind to actually catch up, and they will wait until the next race to try again. So we have gone through White House, we have gone through Tower, we've gone through Bishops, coming up into the Jean de Bien and Le Mans section of the track here at Sebring. I wish our weather here in Canada was as bright and sunny as it appears here on screen, but it is not. And Steve is coming back on us again, coming up, trying to get by, but he just does not have the wings. He has too much wing for the back straight to get us, so he's going to have to stay stationed, I hope, and yes, he does. Through the sunset bend, we have maintained our podium for another lap. What is going to happen? This is a nail biter, and we are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that we stay on the podium. And here we come into corner 1. We're carrying a lot of speed, and oh, I tried to get on the gas too early, and there goes the podium. Steve has gone rocketing by, and if we look, there goes Tom. 2 Porsches have passed my Lancia, and I am now outside of the podium. We are now down into 5th. That was me being a little too aggressive on that throttle pedal, and even though these cars like to have some gas through all the corners, if you are too heavy, it will go around, and that's what happened. So with little more than 5 minutes left in this race, can I pull back Steve and Tom and get back onto the podium? For right now, it means I have to hit every mark, be perfect, and hope for a mistake from the other 2. Because as you see, we are now within 5-minute time limit of this 20-minute race. My mistake has cost me big, and I am now playing the game of catch up. And so let's see if we can catch these 2 faster cars. If we look, we lost a lot of time. We're now 10.2 seconds behind Steve and 6.8 behind Tom. This might not be able to happen. We might have to settle for our 5th place here. As much as I hate to admit it, my aggressiveness has taken me out of the fight. But the only places we can really make up time is down this big long straight and through Sunset Bend. So let's see what happens at the end of this lap, and if we can pull in Steve and Tom at all through this last 4.5 minutes of the race. It's going to be tricky, it's going to be hard, but we have to maintain it and try as we might. It may be too little, too late, and I'll have to give myself a pat on the back to go and try again later.
All right, that was a
So,
2:09.3.
after a slow lap of 2:09, thanks to my spin through this corner last lap, I am now 9.5 seconds behind Tom and 12.6 behind Steve. So with 3.5 minutes left, I don't think we're going to be able to catch them. We're just going to have to make sure that Rick behind us, who is 9 seconds behind us, stays there, and that I do not make any more mistakes so that I can claim 5th place here at Sebring tonight, or today. Now going back through what was once a hairpin turn, And now a right, left, right chicane. We've gone through there. Coming down through onto White House Straight, which would take us again into Webster. And through Webster we go a little bit onto the turtles, but hanging onto it, not getting off onto the grass. We're hitting our marks. We're making sure that we maintain our positions, even though if you take a look, it says we need to stop for gas. We don't. We have lots of gas left. Looks like up to 4.2 laps left, maybe 6 minutes of racing left, but there's only 2.5. So, hey, you know, we don't need to worry about that. We've got our fuel mileage down right through Le Mans corner, out onto the rumble strips, and down the long back straight. As we get close to the end of this 20-minute race at Sebring, we have had a great run up until the time that we threw it away in corner one and let Steve and Tom get past us. Through Sunset Bend, here we go. We are now down to within 1 minute left of the race.
That was a
1 minute, 2 minutes maybe.
58.32.
But even still with 1 minute 41 seconds, yeah, even if it was 2 minutes 41 seconds, it might be one lap left, maybe two, but I don't think we're going to have that much time left. So let's just continue and we'll watch this and we will see where we finish at the end of this race. We just have to be patient and not too patient. This is racing. There's no patience in racing. You have to be aggressive. You have to be going for it. And if you're not going for it, you're not trying hard enough and you're going to be slow anyways. So here we are. We're going through the hairpin chicane. I will call it. I don't know if that's what it's called at this point. Looks like we were a little faster through there than the last lap. We are down to within the last minute. And down through White House and through Webster, coming down through Bishops, which will take us into Tower. Sorry, Tower then Bishops. So this is probably Bishops here. And I apologize for getting my corner naming wrong, but we are here to have a good time, and that's what we're doing. These guys with the LoPeN Racing League are a fantastic bunch to race with. They are very talented. They have a great time to run, and I've been running with them for years, and I just thank them for the great efforts that they put in to equalize the cars, because the cars are very equal. It's down to driving style and driving talent, and I tend to run out of that talent far before a lot of the others. Through the Sunset Bend for the last time, and here we are coming down onto the front straight. Time has elapsed. There is no time left.
That was a 1:59.00.
Over, I believe, or do we have one more lap? Oh, we do have one more lap. The leader made it through with seconds to spare. So I will just let you watch the last lap of this race as we make our way through the corners, going down through Big Bend now. And on the last lap, we have been able to maintain our 5th spot. Oh, about 10, 11 seconds ahead of Rick, but 10, 11 seconds ahead of Tom. There was no catching them after they got by. I would have liked to have kept them both behind me so I could have finished on the podium, but it was not to be this day. Maybe on the next race I will be able to pick up a podium, or maybe we will just be our mid-pack normal spot. But we will have to see. This is the last. We're not going to be going back to the later Le Mans specials that we were running up prior to this race. It looks like we're going to be doing some improved touring cars that we found online, created by Tom to bring us some Australian racing. And in that group, you'll see that we will be running some Mazdas and some 914s and Toyota Celicas. I believe there's Honda Civics in there as well. It's a great little mod. Again, very competitive and a lot of fun cars to run in that one. So Here we are, we're going down the long back straight for the final time through Sunset Bend one last time, making sure that we have a good power out of it. Down the front straight, you can see the checkered flag has already flown for the top 4, and we now receive that. So thank you once again for watching and joining me in our racing endeavors here at Sebring and the rest of the tracks that will be coming up. Enjoy your day. Once again, thanks for joining us, and it's been a pleasure.